In part 1, tells of my torment in the 50s growing up. Eurasian born. Never accepted at birth by my father. Never having a childhood. Lived in this adult environment. I search with this inquisitive mind. That path for knowledge. It was also what triggered me. What speed was about. In part 2. Became my own learning tool in the 60s. It's also when I found out I had an older brother. On the Irish side of my mother. It's what he taught me. If they had been reading my anthology of my life, they might have learned something on reality. By asking questions. Still they view. I've never had high expectations on people's behavior. That's what makes me different from their existence. They follow like sheep. My mother told me to go outside in the yard while I talk with your brother. It was not long after he came out. He wanted to talk, not knowing what this was about. So you have been bullied at school. My mother must have told him. He said, why did you not fight back? Scared to answer him. He answered for me. You're weak. That is all going to change. You will learn to fight. And fight you will. When I think back, how young I was. How my life was about to change. It was one day after school. He was down in the shed. I walked down to talk to him. On the ground lay this rope. An old coal bag. Logs of split wood. A bundle of tied up old clothes. He told me, this will become your punching bag. It's how his father taught him also as a young boy. We are going to pack this coal bag with these split logs of wood, vertically standing on top of each other. But first unbundle those clothes. Now tie some of the clothes at each end of the split wood. I asked him why. He did not answer me. Now grab that rope. Watch how it's tied off at the neck of this punching bag. He then threw the other end over the roof beam. This shed had no garage doors. Sheets of roofing missing. Unleveled ground. Walking on bluestone. We then started hauling this bag up by hand. We struggled at first. We reached the height he wanted. Then he tied it off. Now we waited for it to settle. You could hear that beam creaking above us. Finally it stopped. He then told me, stand in front of this bag. Now look at it and listen very carefully. What I'm about to say. There is always that danger. When punching this bag, splintered pieces of wood could break off inside, gradually piercing through the surface area. You would not see it in time. But the next punch you throw. This I need not tell you. The injuries you would have suffered. While he was talking, I kept thinking back to that youth club. That punching bag, which was made of leather. They wore training mitts and boxing gloves. Technology today has advanced still, with that safety factor always in mind. With modern training apparatus, streamlined thumb-protecting boxing gloves. They have it easy these days. He then said, you're not going to fear this punching bag. Hitting it with bare fist. This bag must fear you instead. I never heard anyone talk like this before. He then threw punches. It hardly moved. Then he asked me. Now I'm jumping around, holding my left hand. He checked, making sure there was no damage. We both started laughing. He then said, you will not be punching this bag, but still you will be using it in a different way, training yourself without my help. A clock you will use with this drill every day, after school, for the next 2 weeks, for 30 minutes, alternating 15 minutes between each fist. This is the way my brother had trained me. It's been a week now since I started this drill, feeling pain in both wrists, but I never mentioned this to him. While doing this drill, sometimes he would walk down to the shed, watching me from behind, not say a word, then walked away. Now into my second week. Pain has now gone. My hands felt like they were not my own. Very heavy and tight. When I closed both fists, it actually frightened me, not knowing what was happening. I had this fixation on speed. That was in the 50s. Which my brother never knew. Never thought that one day I would be combining both speed and power through this drill. It had toughened my hands. Still, I had not thrown a punch at this bag since that first time I was down the shed. It was a weekend. I was surprised my brother was home. He walked down there then said, let's see what you have learned through that training drill. He had me stand in front of this bag again. Something happened. I could not explain even to myself. Was it anger or frustration? He had never finished talking. I had already lashed out at that bag, which swung away from us both, now waiting to be yelled at. What he found different how I had reacted, which caught him off guard. He said, where did that come from?
Hi, how are you, Curly?
This is Harry.
Harry.
Hey, how you going?
Where'd you get Curly from?
Look at this.
Call him Curly. Call everyone Curly.
I've never met you, but through Colin, I saw some videos of you online.
Okay.
Through Colin, and you move exactly the way Mark always taught us. Yeah.
Well, that's not where we started.
But the way he moves is exactly what you used to do. Yeah. You were with Mark.
Based on kickboxing 86.
Well, that's it, man. We're trying that.
I was there every Tuesday night.
Yeah,
I used to do the karate first. I used to box first, then go to karate,
I
then do
did
the
the
kickboxing
kickboxing,
until
yeah.
8:30, and then go home. Mark and Jeff were the roots, and you build your base and your platform,
Exactly.
and then you go somewhere else. And so where we used to hook like that.
Yeah.
I hook like that now.
Yeah. See, I still go.
Yeah. See, I've gone away from it because I've actually found
Because
it's better.
It's faster.
Yeah.
So Heinz, what's your background? So you train with Jeff? Like, did you ever train anywhere else, or just with Jeff? Yeah.
No, just with Jeff.
Yeah. How long did you train?
For about 14 years.
Right, really, yeah? It's like, you know, when Mark got me to do my black belt and he gave me the certificate, it's like, I put it away and I haven't seen it since then.
Yeah.
Since that day. I haven't seen it because,
You don't look at it like being judged by what you do or something, is it? Or,
you know, for me, Mark opened up a whole new world, and with the
how
stuff
you
that
see yourself. Yeah.
the way I see self-defense these days, like I'm not a boxer like Mark is. So the stuff that I've been following that Colin knows, you know, that over the years, you know, when you look at Mark, and he did it before, Mark had that naturally, and he was doing that from way back then. You know, like non-telegraphic, you know.
We're talking about you.
You know, see, Mark doesn't realise, and I told Mark years ago, let's do something. Let's get what you know let's get it out there. You can't work the way you work, you know. He's a really nice bloke, and he's going, look, mate. He turns around and says to me, I can't really teach you anything else. He goes, you can know how to punch and move and all that kind of stuff. He goes, all I'm trying to do is work you, right? So one day he puts me in the ring with this other dude, right? So, big bloke, he goes, oh, just lightly, yeah, man, no worries, right, man, so we're just mucking around, blah, blah, blah. And he calls time, and this dude just whacks me after time, right? And I looked at him, and Andy's looking at me, and he's going, get him. Alright, cool, no worries. So, here we go again, this is big. Let's go. So I started going old school, Mark Brown style.
And there you are, straight away, you're a Mark Brown style. Yeah, bang.
Yeah.
Bum, bum, bum.
I'm going, let's go. I'll get him on the ropes, right? I push him on the ropes. This guy's towering, right? And then I just went back, bah, 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 like this, you know. And he goes to me, look, man, he goes, you're a puncher.
Boxers used to make money.
But I did exactly what he told me.
I was lucky, right? So 22 fights and won 19 by knockout. That's not bad.
Very good.
That wasn't bad. Lost one. I drawed one, which I disputed, and the guy who had the showers, and you can see the bloke next to you. And I'm going, I reckon it was a draw. He goes, no, neither do I. I reckon you won. He goes, no, I reckon you won. I said, okay, I'll take it.
But what we're saying here, right?
Isn't that great?
I was going through Telemann Airport as I went past the security guy. He goes, you're a fighter. How did you work that out, mate? He says, you're a fighter.
Yeah.
And I've heard that a number of times before. Now I was just dressed in my normal civvies, just walking through.
Yeah.
But we have an aura. We have a presence.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
We have... So when we stand against some punk in the street, you know straight away what style he's been with. And as soon as he moves a little bit, you know who he's trained with.
Yep.
You pick him.
Yep.
You know if a guy is a martial artist, he's a kicker, he's
That's
a
what I was going to
boxer.
say. You can't say what style he's trained in, but you know whether he's
straight away,
a martial artist or whatever. You know, from what...
By the calm presence. Now, I had a lot of street fights, and I would say I'm a far better street fighter than a professional fighter. Because it's a different game.
Take my hat,
different game.
Take my hat off.
But what I'm saying is that it's that presence that you read and the experience that we get through being in the pubs and reading the play and knowing straight away what you're up against. And we've been all fortunate enough to work in those facilities and learn from the 15 years that I was in the game, reading a person, and I could look at someone and go, you're going to be a handful.
You know, see what you're doing there, right there.
Some of the
and that's what I was just reading the play.
Yeah, some of the pretty boys. You had to be careful with the pretty boys.
Big kickers, like to kick and
you couldn't read them very well. Some of it might be a bit of a soft surfy, but something about him made you alert. Where the other guy he put on the act that's nothing. Do you know where I met Colin?
where training.
I was 18 in September 73. Me and Terra, my mate Terry, greasy rockers.
Yes.
Slicked up studded belt, pointy shit. I've still got my original pair of pointy-toed shoes.
Oh yeah,
Now, we've said I turned 18 in September. Terry was 19, 20. He had a custom one.
Yeah, as you do in them days.
As you do.
Yeah.
And I said, Terra, there's rock and roll on it. Never been. He goes, let's go. I've still got these at home. Brand new pointy-toed shoes. I've still got them. Robin showed me, and the heels are on an angle when the way we
threw my points out.
And they will wait to see how sharp these
Sorry,
are.
buddy. I've still got my treads.
Right, we got the Elvis jeans with the cuffs up, the points, studded belt, bright red shirt, collars turned up, and slick.
Can I ask you, how did you get into your jeans?
Well, I was always tight, but I got around.
That's what I used to do. I used to lay on the bed with the coat hanger. Then you have to try and stand up with my stiff legs for about 10 minutes. I stretch
The old stiff Levi's.
Yep.
Right, so we pulled into the car park, and we're looking, and all these rockers are walking on, going, ponytail shivers with flared skirts. Now, this is heaven! We walk up to the door, and there was someone on a cash register or something to buy a ticket or a stamp, and standing next to, was it a girl? It was a girl. Yeah. Standing next to her was this man. He had this mandarin mustache, this long mullet.
Yep.
And standing there. And we walked in. I'm going, what are you? And he said, keep moving. It's a typical Colin. That was it. That was it.
Yeah, I can imagine that word.
Because I went to school with Alfie and I went to Assy Tech together.
Yep.
And I didn't know Colin knew Alfie. I said, g'day Alf, how you going? And I'm going, who's this? He goes, just watch the rest of the night. I go, okay. So we're down the end in the corner, all the rockers were greasing around. There's a bit of a scrap, wasn't much. And all of a sudden something happened in the middle of the pub.
Like a cat in the middle?
One of them. And then, I don't know who it was, Alf or whatever, went round this way, and Colin just walked down and going, you! And everyone's going, huh? And he goes, out, now. Oh, this will be interesting, I can watch this. And then some bloke comes up, and Colin goes, don't do it. He grabs him,
a man of many words.
Short, sharp, that's all. I goes, just locked his arm, and walked him around and pushed him into Alf, and Alf grabbed him and walked him out. Oh, fucking good! And Colin's gone, don't ever do this again while I'm working. And I'm watching his finger. I see that finger. And that was it.
I'm 52. 65 born.
44. Yeah, okay. So,
I'm middle range. Colin's the old one. I saw Colin do this for real in the pub. Yep. Under the brawl. I saw him. That's what I was going to do in the invitation. Sitting. Come in, Harry. Watch it. This is Colin walking through the crowd at the scene. Yeah. Watch this. There's all this pressures going on. And I'm going. We're all going like this. Yeah. What's going on here? And then he'd go like this. Grab, gotcha.
When you pull a knife, when you pull a weapon, that's when I get excited.
Yes.
Because I was fortunate enough to work with Jeff, and when I got to my second Dan, I pushed all to the side is what I called it, and I went through them just fighting guys with weapons and sticks. So when I went to the pub, someone pulled a knife, I got happy. I take the top off, figure eight motion into southpaw, smother the weapon coming over the top, and I was actually really confident doing that. I was actually really comfortable.
It works.
If Mark came to me and wanted to knuckle, well, if we had to, whatever, but you pull a weapon. Different. So I did a road rage, I did a road rage for the first time in a long time, only about 6 months ago. A gentleman cut me off in a truck, an Indian gentleman with a towel on his head, and I say gentleman. So I went, after we sort of got straight, I went up half of the footpath, going up the Clayton Road. I just sat at the right hand side of his mirror, I went like this, and he's like this out the window, like this, whatever. So I did it again, I went, what'd you do it for, mate? And he pulls an iron bar out. Righto. Now iron bar. So I go up the wrong side of the road, head onto the traffic, flashing my lights like get away, round the front of the truck. I climb up to a very high cabin, it's like 3 steps up. I get up and there he is sitting on the centre console stop because I pulled in front of him and he's smiling waving the bar. So I just reached out with the mirror and I went swing out, went swing forward, I swung out and big left hook, and my left's stronger than my right, even though I'm an orthodox. Boom, the window shatters. I grab him by the back of the towel and I'm dragging him out the window like this, dragging. I'm horizontal out the top of the window, just pulling right. Full lanes blocked on Clayton Road. So as he starts coming out, I've slid down the door, down the steps. As he comes out, I've just gone, boosh, boosh. Grab him by the back of the head, because he's got long hair and this towel thing, right? Then I'm just, elbow on there, job's done. Then I went to reality. I got idiot. Good job, good money. You idiot. I didn't get a phone call. Fortunately. Lucky. Yeah. But the training that I did with Jeff and yourself in that weapon side made me comfortable and very actually more comfortable than actually street knuckle. Pull a weapon, let's go. I can tell stories about iron bars and truck bays, and I've got a couple of stab marks that I've had before, but it was that weapon training. Beautiful, nice.
Love it.
Ooh, that's the go.
Isn't that good?
We can show some good scars actually.
The only thing I know about weapon defence is, you give me a knife now, I don't care how much you know or whatever, I'll stab the
Not for me, thank you. It's that streets that we learned from yourself. It's those times that we trained and the experiences from before, because you're older than me, that we learn these things, and we've been fortunate enough in the security game or just our normal life, put it into play, and practice it and get better.
I've been bashed, I've been smashed, I've been...
You've been reamed and bored?
Yeah.
I've got screwed up, stuck in my teeth because I think something...
I watched Colin before, right, who's got it concealed like so.
Yeah.
That's the guy I'm worried about.
Yes, yeah.
It's not the guy who's going like this,
that's
swaying. Because when he gets that, I give you a one left. Which one was it? I can't see it now. Big bite mark here. A guy bit me one day. He latched in and he was swinging an engineer's hammer at me. Yeah. And as he swung the hammer like this, I just give it a little tap. Bonk. Carl Kelly can do that. Yeah, that's great. So what I did was I lay down on your back. I'll show you. It was actually quite fun. Lay down. Oh, good. You like this one? What I did was, I took his legs out. Put your arms down, and I'm holding him like this, and I go, what are you doing, you stupid idiot? Your mouth comes up here and bites me. Yeah, that's what he did. Just like that. He just latched on, and I couldn't get rid of him. I couldn't get rid of him.
You couldn't predict
No.
See?
I was trying to help the guy, and he latched on. Next thing I am, full tilt in the side of the jaw.
That's enough to wake you right up.
Oh, yeah.
That's brilliant.
And he was the dirtiest man I'd ever met. Those times that, from you and your experiences that passed on to us as a younger generation.
That was great.
And those figure eights that we used, I used them with rags to take weapons from people.
Yeah, I remember when he said to me, he says, Colin, I want to learn to punch fast but with power. I said, look, you've trained with Mark, we'll push you to your limits.
Because, buddy, we tried to take his speed with a professional photographer, one of the trainers, and just still couldn't get the... And he's a professional, that's what he does full time. We still couldn't get the speed. Sorry, go on.
I remember he put the focus pads and I hit it and his fingers were tingling.
So I used to always generate, as we were taught, with a shot put out and through. So we would be the same with that roll, where you just had that short bang, and that was the best I had for a short punch. But your punch was like my long range. Wind up.
You may feel sick. I said, well, what? And he was a bit hesitant about what are you going to do? Am I going to get hurt?
Everyone was hesitant with you, but you're gone.
And I said...
Weren't you? Because you got hurt.
Yeah, and I saw him do it. And can I buy in for a second? One of the greatest shocks Colin did in the pub was...
But he used to be a squeezer.
Squeezing some things. Oh, you did too. I've got
I'm into, probably not tonight, but tomorrow. We'll talk on the phone.
Woman lived in the kitchen and she cleaned, and we went out to the money.
Can I have your money,
And the first thing I do is I come up and I say, "G'day, how you going?" I check your ears, no jewellery, okay. Breast guards, no breast guard. It's like having no groin guard. You see you later. I check your hand wraps. I check the gloves are strapped correctly. I check the foot, the chin pads, booties are all correct. I want them to wear a chest guard. But I'll contradict myself. Fighting is a boy thing. We go to the schoolyard and we learn to fight, even if it's just like that. Where women, what I'm saying is women are more dangerous when they were in pubs because the boys had a little bit of an idea how to throw a punch from prep and tech school. But when a woman fought, she'd never ever done it before. So she would pull eyes, ears. She was dangerous.
They claw where they can cut nails.
I like to see the women up with their hand. We've got some good women. We've got some really good women down there. Like fighting pro and fight around the world. But if they can walk out of the ring,
we've changed from the times of what was men did what men did. Now women are doing AFL football, they're doing soccer, they're doing rugby.
My opinion is if they can walk out of that ring and put a skirt back on and not be a pug, a boxer, then I reckon that's great because they can adapt and do their thing and they can go back and look like a professional lady.
And it's
nice you could bring this about.
I'm going to ask you all a question. How many
I was working at the this night there was the two couples. They thought they would sort of get first privilege.
And I said, I'm sorry, but you get back to the line like everyone else and just wait.
Yep, yes you do.
This woman said to me, you can't talk to me, we're lawyers. I don't care who you are, you get back down to the line. You don't come in here at all. She paused like this at me, like a very quickly.
Scratches.
You just fingernails.
It's dangerous.
What I did, instead of going this her arms and threw her balance off, and she nearly
I wouldn't expect that, would you? Another in Mentone punched me straight in the mouth.
Yep.
And I had my hands in my pockets like this. And phased me right in front of the Dairy Queen. And she took a note and I thought, okay.
First one, she picked up a 10-ounce glass when I asked her to come out of the toilets, and she went crack on the vanity and went slice. I was fortunately quick enough, I sat back and then went load. You want to fight like a bloke? You get it like a bloke. I don't believe in hitting women at all, and I don't think it's right.
No.
But if you want to win the ball,
if you have to stop them, you have to stop.
I was at the front row of the bar to get drinks, and this guy's going like this, pushing, bald-headed guy. Anyway, he's pushing, I go, you right, mate? And he's gone, flash to Freddy. I've gone, bop, bop, bang, dropped him. Next thing out of the back, she's got me by the rat's tails, and she's pulling me backwards. I thought, well, if you're a friend of his, but she had the nails and the whole shoot match. Can I ask everyone a question here? With all the street fights that we may have had, or the brawls that we've got into, and I'll give you the first answer. How many of you lost? And I'll say, I could count on one hand, if that. And the reason I believe that I don't lose fights is because I don't start fights.
Right.
If people go out and look for trouble, they get what they earn at wax. I'm always on the back foot. I'm always talking if I can.
You're like me, verbally.
And I bash more people with my tongue than you can poke a stick at. Because that was my tool.
Exactly.
My job when I was working at pubs was to look after the management staff and patrons and not to bash people. We like to practice what we learned where we could. Have never lost a street fight, or if we have a few, because we're good people. We don't go looking for trouble.
Honest down the line.
Straight off the cuff, you know what I mean?
See, Jeff, love that. Jeff always taught, never go out and have an ego. Don't prove anything. You don't need to go and prove. You're there to build up your esteem and your self-confidence and to make you a better person.
But let me ask you
one question.
It actually made it worse because your nose is broken. Every time you look in the mirror, I cut your ear, and you always remember me.
You're involved in this. So let me ask a question. From your point of view, if Cole was going to go bang, grab you, what would you do? You know, like how?
You don't know. It has to be someone you never met.
Exactly. Thank you very much, mate.
And that's why
I wish we were on
Do you want to know what I do?
film now.
Do you want to know what I do? It's probably the easiest way to do this, right?
What's that?
And I think it's probably the only way to do it. Goes like that, goes like that, like that.
Have you heard of the seesaw? You know what a seesaw is? What's the seesaw? You know, kids play on a seesaw. Something's going to happen. You're going to get a broken jaw the minute this happens. He says, hang on from there. What are you going to do? And well, just imagine this. If I come along like that and it flicks up and hits him, shoots out of his hands. Oh, I can't teach that. It's injury to people.
You're very alive. Let's cross. Let's cross a bit.
You're just on there when you cross from this point.
I just want to cross with you.
See, there's a lot. That's a lot. Right, and then it's bang, bang, bang. That goes fastest.
I love it. It's great.
I'm turning my back on you.
See, I love that. Love it.
Look, our skill, Harry, it's like fencing.
Yeah, fencing. It is.
And you get that one.
I want to get into it. That's what I was asking Colin.
Is there any fencing clubs around?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I never knew this.
Oh, yeah.
They used to do that.
I've been thinking of doing it.
Kelly.
Come on.
Okay.
Play your screen that one.
Thank you.
And a kiss on the cheek.
We'll do it again.
Be careful.
We'll do it again.
See you, ladies.
Carl, what are you up to?
Trying to organise the profiles on these instructors.
Profiles about Jeff?
Yes, it's about Jeff's legacy. It's important that it's known through his academy.
Right.
We have our higher levels like Paul. He's the highest there because predecessor now to when Jeff passed away. I think you met him.
Yeah, I think so.
The profile I've done on him,
What's he achieved? Has he done much?
not really. He hasn't been in the personal street.
Oh yeah.
A hotel thing. No, he's never done any of that sort of work.
We're still alive, you know.
Yeah, we're still here to tell it today. There's not many of us left now. What do you remember about Jeff when you first met him?
Met him that night in Sam's down on the Fern Highway, the pizza joint.
Oh, down there. Was that long ago?
Jeff was sitting in the corner against the wall, and you were on the other side of the table. I saw you, and I came over. I sat down on your side of the table. Was it you or Sam who said this is Jeff? It might have been Sam.
I think it was Sam.
He might have. I think we shook hands from memory, and Jeff said something to the effect of, "What do you do?" And I said, in what way? He said, "You train?" So I train with Jones Zendo Kai. And he goes, "What do you do?" He said, "I train with Sam." I said, "Oh yeah," and all the photos on the wall. I've known Sam for quite a few years, because I'm just down the road at Men's Home. Yeah, Sam and I go back, there's some interesting incidents, but anyway. So that was the first introduction to Jeff, and then I think something like Sam might have brought a pizza out or some drinks, like whatever he did. We just started talking, and I said to Jeff, "So you're training with Sam, are you?" And he says, "Yeah." And I thought to myself, well, Sam's doing Taekwondo.
That's right, he was with the Korean style.
You've got to be, I guess, reasonably flexible, because I fought quite a few of these guys. Maybe I shouldn't have judged, but I looked at Jeff and I didn't think he would be able to kick. But he looked powerful, so I thought, I won't say nothing. So anyway, we were just talking, and he did ask me quite a lot about Zendo Kai and Bob Jones. I said, well, in the old days when I started in Elizabeth Street, when it first opened, Bob Jones and Thatcher, you went in looking pretty and you come home black and white. That was 1970. 73? No, 72. He did ask me about Zendo Kai.
What did he say about Zendo Kai?
Oh, he just asked me a bit about it, because when he said he did Taekwondo, that's because I've been doing all the tournament fights, and we fought a lot of guys from Taekwondo clubs. No, they try and kick your head off. He asked me about Bob Jones, and I said, well, sort of more traditional coming from Goju Kai.
Right.
Bob modified it because he was a bouncer. And it was full contact barefoot street fighting in the dojo. You got shit punched out of you and you bash shit out of everyone else. And you either stay or you leave. So I said to Jeff, most of the kicks were stomach height only, unless you do a roundhouse to the face or side of the head. Jeff was into nutrition.
That's right, he was a nutritionist.
Old school was Zendo Kai in the city, training and Billy down on Franks and all that. Now, I was due to fight for the Vic title or the Australian title, whatever it was, and then Jeff had said to either you or Craig, not Jeff's brother Craig, our Craig,
right.
He said what for formula of training, and I didn't really know, I was just doing what I was doing, but I was real fit, because remember I was swimming, I was doing lots
of was swimming, I can remember I was passed off as your coach.
Well, Jeff said to me, what are you training for? And I said, well, I've got a couple more fights. What do I have, 22 from memory? Yeah.
That's right, you talked about that night when we were here in 2017.
That guy, I thought we became friends for quite a while, he was a good bloke.
Where was that held? At the Hondu or?
Yeah, in the city, Hondu upstairs at Flinders Street.
Cole.
I want you to talk about Jeff today, what they don't know. What was your first impression?
He's never done anything in the street, he said.
He said that?
Yeah, they're sitting at the table. He said, I've never had any street incidents.
So you spent...
But you were sitting there, Cole. I said, you should have been at the pub when Cole was bouncing and I was in all the rockers. We were punching on every night for years.
So you found him interesting but non-interesting?
Yeah, well, I thought it was interesting, but he seemed to be a bit stubborn with only... That's it. Nothing else.
Now, I remember in the 70s, Physically, he was very fit and strong. He spent time with me, teaching him a different way, and he said, but I cannot teach that.
And Cole, I think it was too much for him to take on and learn.
They know nothing about Bayside kickboxing. How did that badge become known to their academy? I want you to talk about that.
Long time ago. All I know is, I said to Jeff, I was doing a bit of... Jeff said, why don't you do your own thing? And I thought, oh yeah. So I thought about it. That's when I sat in my room every night after work for those 3 or 4 months and wrote everything on paper, step by step, every level and every punch, kick, combination, the whole lot. I came up with the name Bayside Kickboxing. And Jeff, I don't know why he did this, but he came up with the name Bayside Karate and Kickboxing. And then someone pointed it out and I go, why is he doing that? I mean, that's sort of a bit of a rip-off because I was teaching the karate system, kickboxing after the system. So, and I said, well, what's going on? Why would you do that? And he goes, oh no, I'm just trying. I said, but Jeff, that was technically my name. I came up with that for me and all my fighters. So I didn't understand why he did it, unless it was he had some chip on his shoulder or something.
See, I always questioned Jeff about that. He didn't know how to answer me, like if I would have told you later on.
I had Craig come down to Park Darwin, we were running the show, but Jeff was there, and then, and I mean, Craig's been at uni and studied, got all credentials in sports and fitness, all that shit. And then he was helping train and organise some power programs to get the guys fit for the fights and get into it.
Oh, right.
So I remember, Craig had just left, and then I don't know why Jeff said this. He got out in front of the class, he goes, all right class, that was interesting. A lot of it's not worth worrying about or considering. I'll teach you and show you what you need to know. I looked at him and gone, what? I go, this guy's a phys ed trainer, and he's talking about fitness, power, strength, power to weight ratio. So Jeff had a go and said, no, it's not worth worrying about all that stuff. He showed you, don't even think, I'll train you, I'll fix you up. And I thought maybe he was getting jealous because I asked Craig, because that's his area.
That's his field.
My area was karate, boxing, kickboxing. His area was fitness and power. So Jeff said that. That's what started the separation. Someone, I don't know who, one of the guys, might have been Howard or someone.
Oh, I remember Howard.
Littling, isn't it? And I've gone, why would he say that? And I don't know if you were there, I can't remember, Cole.
Somewhere.
Probably were, but why would he say that? Because we're doing it for the fighters to get them at the best so they can win.
Just to interrupt you for a minute, Paul will be listening to this and so will everybody else, what they don't know about their academy. But continue.
Yeah, that's all right.
Continue.
That's all right. There's so much to say, but Cole, there was only maybe 2 months after that, I technically said something like, well, you know, what's this crap on? I had a bit of a go at him. I said, what's going on with all this crap about putting that down and saying this and that, and there's been more knives in the back. You know, what's all that about and why?
No.
So then I said, you know what, you do what you want to do, I'll do something different.
When I first met Jeff, he had a video place in Oakley.
That's right, the video shop in Oakley.
Yeah, that's right. Was Mark there?
Mark used to train in the back room there, but we didn't have a ring.
I didn't know Jeff was a martial artist. He said, oh, you know, we're going to punch your bag in the back there. You know, I said, oh, yeah, gross. I'm sorry, Jeff. Listen, mate, I damaged the bag. I've got the bag. I'm sorry. I'll pay you for it. So I was laughing. What?
It's a void in my life now. That's why I'm still here writing about him. I want you to talk more about Jeff. Did you teach him anything?
I haven't taught Jeff nothing.
You never taught him anything. You just sort of temptational videos.
Jeff himself was very knowledgeable.
Oh, he's very knowledgeable.
He's always been a gentleman. But I personally never seen Jeff lose his temper.
No, he was always in control.
Well, the last time I seen Jeff, the 60th birthday.
That's right, my 60th birthday.
I was hoping Mark will patch up, and Mark was willing at the time, but he wasn't.
And I remember the time when we first met.
Mate, ever respect.
I forget about it.
Oh, yeah.
What year was that?
70s.
That's where I met you.
Mate, believe it or not, I was only 16 when I met you.
16.
Like I said, I started doing bouncing and the first one was 16. I said to them I was 18. So pretty much when I started, but like I said, I've always been a reasonable fighter. So I used to fight people he's older than me at the time. And they thought, oh, well, he's the same age, it's okay. Or maybe he's 1 or 2 years younger, or 1 or 2 years. And I used to win. I went from one school to the other.
Now, I'd like to speak up, Jeff. How you seen that man?
Well, when I first met him, Colin and I met him at a shopping centre where they had those multi-cinema things, so we only sort of said hello, and, you know, he had to go back to work and we were off to do something. But the second time I met Jeff was in the Dojang. And he called out to Colin, which was quite surprising to me that he did that. And he said, "Oh, I spoke to a certain young lady, and she said to remind you of Walks on the Beat." And he looked at me and he said that, and I found out years ago. He was just trying to see what reaction that I would give if he mentioned people from his past. So, of course, you know, I made no reaction. It was before I even met Colin, so it didn't matter. But he always gave credit to people who deserved it. And I say that because at his father's funeral, he thanked a lot of people, and he thanked Colin and I particularly because he said that the food we took up to his father kept him alive a lot longer than anybody expected. Which was nice of him to say. But
very nice.
It was nice of him to say that, you know. He had a great sense of humour. Not a lot of people saw it. But I'll tell you one particular night. There was Colin, myself, Jeff, and our cameraman upstairs at one of the dojangs. And Jeff was on a walking stick and sitting on a table, and I was sitting on a chair. And we were just watching what was going on. And the next minute, the cameraman's on the floor, and he passed wind so loud. Jeff looked at me. And I looked at him, and we both cracked up laughing. We couldn't help ourselves. It's just so funny. It was just unintentional. I don't know what the cameraman thought of us, but we just laughed and laughed, and tears were streaming down my face. And Jeff, he thought it was just so funny too. He had a good sense of humour, really. One night we went up to the school, and Jeff it was like he was on pins, you know. Colin was talking to some students he hadn't quite got in the doorway, and Jeff came over to me, and his eyes were sparkling, you know, and he was all, his hands were going, and he says, "I know how he does it, I know how he does it." I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, "You know, for years," he said, "I've watched that man and tried to work out how he moves, how he does things." He said, "Well, now I know." He said, "Well, I put a tape on, and I moved it frame by frame." He said, "He's like a tiger."
You couldn't see it when it was actually being...
He couldn't see it when it was, you know, at normal speed. No, because Colin moves so fast. Very few people see how fast he moves. And on film, no. And it never occurred to Jeff he just had this little ding in his brain. Maybe if I do it frame by frame, and that's what he did.
Now, I'll never forget that day, never, as long as I live. The look in his eyes, the bleed, I mean, he was standing in front of a class. He was here, and he just left them and come right over to me.
He was running a class at the time.
He was running a class. They were all doing the you know the way they do. He stands at the front. Yeah, and he just walked away from them and came over, and his eyes were sparkling. They were, they were like diamonds, sparkly. He just couldn't wait to tell me.
You must have spent hours going through that, frame by frame.
He did, week by week by week.
Jeff had a great deal of respect for Colin, with his methods and what he does, and been really good friends for 42 years. And Colin knows things about Jeff that a lot of other people don't know and wouldn't know, and it's a pity really, because there's only he could tell the students about Jeff and him and what they used to do. Like they go to a restaurant. Jeff would take Colin to a restaurant in the Chinese sector of Melbourne, and Colin he was a bit of a mischief maker, as was Jeff too. Anyway, they're sitting there waiting to be served, and all of a sudden they realised that the waiters were avoiding them. They were looking down corners and this, that and the other, they wouldn't come over to the table. Anyway, in the end, the manager came over and he served them, and, he served them for the whole night, no problem. They had a lovely time, a good meal, and then Jeff called for the bill. The manager came over and he said, Jeff, he said, there is no charge. Don't give me any money. No. He said, my waiters are terrified of this man. They're not sure what he is or who he represents, but they are terrified, and that's why I have served you. Now please, don't come here again.
Just to let you know, I said nothing to the proprietor of this restaurant, but Jeff never returned, and this will continue. But what kept me interested?
What do you remember as well, what happened when you were training? They were trained different to how.
Oh yeah, they were two very, very good students, and very exciting to watch. Anyway, Colin and Jeff and I would sit back and watch what was going on, and chatter. Anyway, the next minute, Colin ran at the wall, and just as he got to the wall, he swung himself round so that his back hit the wall, but not his head. His head had no connection with the wall. But we could see dust coming down from the top of the wall and the ceiling, And he said to the guys, see what you can do with it. And they really looked at him as if he was a bit mad, They weren't too keen on trying that.
A brick wall is your best defence if there is a multiple attack upon you. Nobody can come from behind, but then again, the unexpected can happen. This drill is to teach how to deal with a situation if pushed or thrown to a brick wall. If you fear a wall, you're dead. I hope I have made sense to you. This will continue. Thank you.
But we were amazed at the force that Colin hit the wall, that all this dust and thing, I could say there was he moved the wall an inch. He didn't. He just moved it enough for all this dust to come down, you know. I was sitting there looking at it. But, and the two students, I mean, they were black belts. And
they were exceptional, those.
Oh, they were exceptional students. Exceptional students. It was just enjoyable watching them. And the thing is, these two students had such control that if they didn't do something right, they dropped down and they did so many push-ups without having to be told. They just did it. And I liked that. And they had respect for Colin. They always called him Seafood. They never ever once called him Colin. And they had the most respect for Jeff. They never called him Jeff either. But, you know, they were two very, very good students.
Remember the knives? What we did?
They had rubber knives, right? And Colin had a student there, one of the real good top-class students. Jeff got a bit worried that even though these knives were rubber, you know, there could be a problem. So Colin thought about this. Okay.
Real knives.
Oh, you started off with real knives. Then they decided textures. Now, Colin would have a red one, and the student had a black one. And they used them as knives. And after about 5 minutes, this poor student had these red marks all over his face and his arms and his jacket and his nose. And Colin only had one little black mark on him.
It was on my little finger.
On your little finger. The student had one right on his lip there. He didn't even realise it, and he was absolutely astounded at the speed that Colin had, and they couldn't believe. I never saw you. I didn't see you do that. Can you do that again? No. What did you do?
It was just words all the time. What just happened?
Yeah, what just happened? But when the student had a look in the mirror, he was absolutely stunned. All these red marks are on. There was one on his ear, and there on his face. Yeah, and he didn't know. He hadn't felt a thing. Not a thing.